The sun and various forms of life were first created by the powerful creatures known as the Celestials, and the cosmos was expanding quickly. But one day, a predatory race not of this world known as deviants appears from the depths of space and starts destroying everything in their path. The Eternals are a race of eternal superhumans that the Celestials' commander Eris Hem transports to Earth in their spacecraft, the Domo, from the planet Olympia. A group of people were out fishing in Mesopotamia in the year 5000 BC when suddenly deviants sprang from the water and attacked them. The Eternals appear at that precise moment to protect them with their abilities. Ikaris uses his eye beams and flies to battle the animals, while Mak'gari uses her super speed to push the people aside. While Thena and Gilgamesh summon energy weapons to engage in hand-to-hand combat, Kingo fires energy blasts to attack from a distance. Both Sprite and Phastos offer help through their illusions and cutting-edge innovations, respectively. The Eternal engage the Deviants in a furious struggle, but because to their superb coordination, the Eternal quickly beat the Deviants, and team leader Ajak treats any wounds they sustained in the conflict. The humans try to assault them because they are afraid of them, but Droid utilizes his mind control abilities to instantly calm them down. Then Cersei turns a crude knife into real fine metal as evidence that they are here to aid humanity. The Eternals continue to dwell in the present while feigning normalcy among humans. When Cersei arrives in the London classroom where she is scheduled to lecture, she discovers that her boyfriend Dane is standing in for her. Cersei instructs her pupils to take shelter under the tables when a strong earthquake suddenly interrupts the lecture. She then intervenes to save some falling debris from crushing a student. A dog in the neighboring river sees a deviant emerge from it. Cersei subsequently hosts a small gathering of friends to celebrate Dane's birthday in the evening. Since the illusion is destroyed whenever someone touches her, Sprite quickly quits up trying to make herself appear older and hide the truth that she only ages mentally. Cersei declines Dane's request for her to move in with him, and Dane starts to worry if she's concealing anything since Sprite frequently makes strange remarks. After the celebration, the group starts to go home when suddenly a giant deviant named Crow attacks them. Cersei tries her abilities to embed it, but Crow quickly breaks apart and flees into the streets. To confuse the monster, Sprite creates an illusion that duplicates her and Cersei, but Crow surprises them by being able to identify who the actual ones are, something deviants could never achieve. Sprite is about to be killed by Crow until Ikaris appears and saves her. She then goes on to face the deviant head-on. As a result of their conflict, a bus flips, and Cersei hastily turns into rose petals to save a collision. Although Crow once again astounds everyone by revealing that it has the ability to repair itself, it is still obvious that Ikaris has the upper hand and manages to flee via the river. Dane then asks Cersei why she never offered assistance through the world's worst catastrophes after she reveals to him who she really is. According to Cersei, they were told to never question the decisions of humans in order to prevent impeding their progress as a civilization. They were instructed to remain on Earth until it was time to return home after eliminating the deviants. She also admits to Dane that she and Ikaris were married for eons but that their relationship failed. After coming to the conclusion that the earthquake and the deviant are related, she later returns to her apartment to talk about the problem with Sprite and Ikaris. They then concur that the team has to reassemble. This makes me think of Babylon around 575 BC. Under the direction of the Eternals, who repel any attempts at an attack by the deviants, humanity is progressing. Every time they appear, they are brutal and savage, yet the Eternals battle in unison to dispatch them quickly and painlessly. After one particularly bloody combat, Ajak forms a relationship with Eris Hem using her unique Power Stone. She acknowledges her admiration for his ambitious idea but is opposed to what it would imply for people. She is advised by Eris Hem to carry out the plan and not to become connected to them. Ajak then returns to the lair where the Eternals are dwelling in plain sight. Sprite utilizes her abilities to enchant youngsters with tales that come to life via her illusions while Phastos creates a steam engine to sustain mankind. Droig enjoys utilizing mind control to break up conflicts, but Mak'gari chastises him for interfering when they aren't meant to. Ikaris and Cersei spend time together in the interim and confess their feelings for one another in front of the breathtaking beauty of Earth. They marry in the Gupta Empire many years later. When Cersei, Sprite, and Ikaris visit Ajak's ranch in South Dakota in the present, they discover that she has passed away outside her house. Sprite sobs and creates an illusion to remember her, concluding that Crow murdered Ajak by stealing her abilities, which is how it was able to cure itself. The stone in Ajak's flesh that the Celestials gave to her emerges as Cersei approaches the body to express her grief and clings to her. She sees Eris Hem stating, "It is almost time." for a split second before losing sight of him as a result. Ikaris is concerned that it may be Maud Wyrie despite Sprite pointing out that Ajak has picked Cersei to be her successor. This reminds me of something else. The squad was battling the planet's final deviants at Tenochtitlan in 1521 AD. Humans are at war in the meantime, but Ajak won't allow Droig to put an end to it. Thena suddenly feels ill and declares that it is already too late for everyone will soon pass away. Because of the element of surprise, her eyes shift, and she starts assaulting her pals, injuring a number of them. Ajak allows her to injure her on purpose so that she may approach and use her skills to free her mind of this odd instinctive response. Gilgamesh steps up and engages Thena in combat until he is able to knock her out. Thena continues to attack her. It is later discovered that Thena has Maud Wyrie, a condition brought on by her ancient memories converging on themselves and driving her mad. This is shown when Thena wakes up without remembering what transpired. The only option to make her better would be to entirely delete her mind so that she could start anew. Ajak believes that this is the wisest course of action for the sake of safety. The others rage at Ajak, doubting her leadership because they don't want to lose the Thena they adore. He suddenly uses his abilities to end the battle since he is sick of seeing humans murder one another without interfering. He then sets out on his own, warning that the only way to stop him would be to kill him. When Gilgamesh says he can take care of Thena, Ajak agrees to let everyone move in with humans. While they wait for the call from home, they may now focus on finding their own purpose because the deviants are already finished. Rewinding to the present, Cersei, Sprite, and Ikaris head to Mumbai in search of Kingo, who has since become a renowned Bollywood star. Karan, his valet, has been working with him for decades and is aware of his secret. When the group explains what is happening to Kingo, he first objects and says he prefers his current way of life. Karan persuades Kingo to act as the hero everyone admires, and Karan even agrees to go along and tape the entire ordeal in a documentary style. After traveling to Australia on Kingo's private plane, Sprite complains to him about leaving her for fame, but Kingo responds by saying Sprite's stories inspired him to pursue acting, which is why he is an actor today. The squad in Australia locates Thena and Gilgamesh at their rural home after following a trail of dead deviants. Thena spends her time creating some terrifying artwork while Gilgamesh has mastered cooking and housekeeping. She slips up again when they show there, attempting to assault them while claiming that everyone on the earth would soon perish. Gilgamesh stops her, and Sprite clears her of her delusions by reminding her of who she truly is. Cersei takes the time to look at Thena's paintings and laments that she can't get back in touch with Erishem, but Gilgamesh provides her some encouragement and reaffirms that listening is more crucial. Cersei settles down and unwinds, which causes the stone to finally come alive and for her to emerge in front of Erishem. The Eternals were dispatched to bring about the birth of the celestial Tiamat since new celestials are born every few millennia and they have done this procedure on numerous worlds before Earth. He informs her that the emergence is taking place and reveals the actual purpose of the Eternals. They are the result of sentient life, which the Deviants' onslaught had prevented, but now that the Eternals had defeated them, Erishem claims it is time to exterminate all life on Earth in order to make room for Tiamat. The discovery horrifies Cersei, but Erishem justifies it by explaining that this is simply their life form's cycle of creation. Then he adds that neither Olympia nor the other Eternals ever existed. Rather, they are all manufactured beings produced by the world forged for use by the Celestials. Cersei is unable to recall this since each emergence causes the Eternals' memories to be erased. And to top it all off, Erishem created the Deviants to maintain the ratio of predators to prey so that intelligent life might flourish, but he lost control of them, and they evolved into predators. Because of this, he prevented Eternals from evolving in the same way that they do. Cersei then shares her findings with the team, and they come to understand that Thena's illness is really just ancient memories coming to life and giving them the truth. When they discover they are artificial, they are horrified and unhappy, but the majority of them decide to find a means to preserve the inhabitants of Earth. They reason that in order to gain control of Tiamat's mind, Droig must be located. Next, the Eternals go for the Amazon. Droig is residing in a community where he has been in charge of a people who have lived in complete tranquility. He feels betrayed by the knowledge that his entire existence is a deception and does not want to assist the others in their objective. Kingo sympathizes with Sprite in the evening since he knows that she loves Ikaris but hasn't been able to act on it because of her innocent appearance. As soon as Sprite realizes Karan is filming, she destroys the camera while still appreciating the emotion. Ikaris jealously observes as Cersei contacts Dane to check on him, prompting Cersei to inquire as to why he left her. Ikaris is ready to explain himself when Crow appears out of nowhere and snatches him away. The Eternals act right away as more deviants attack the town. Cersei constructs a fortified structure with people concealed within before tossing a number of trees onto the deviants. Cersei instantly orders Droig to stop and bring the humans to safety while he attempts to command them as one cohesive force. Kingo charges his beam for a brief while before blowing off the head of a deviant to end its life. When Crow slams Ikaris into the ground to absorb his abilities, Ikaris fights back. Then, when Gilgamesh approaches to confront him, Athena once more succumbs to her madness and strikes Ikaris. Gilgamesh observes and moves aside in order to approach Athena and soothe her, successfully calming her down. Then Ikaris pursues a flying deviant, forces it to land in the settlement, and uses his eye beams to murder a large number of the inhabitants. When one of them catches him from behind, Cersei intervenes and, to everyone's amazement, succeeds in turning the deviant into a tree, something she had never been able to accomplish before. While Gilgamesh is still engaged in combat with Crow, Crow kills him and steals his powers because he is preoccupied with keeping an eye on Athena. Then Crow transforms, taking on a more human appearance and speaking English. Crow claims the Eternals are killers, but when Ikaris arrives to refute him, Crow flees. Then, after imploring Athena to always remember, Gilgamesh rushes to her side and passes away in her arms. Gilgamesh's body is later burned, and Athena scatters his ashes into the river. Droig accepts to take part in the task after realizing that controlling everyone would make him no better than a deviant. But his power isn't powerful enough to control a celestial, so they'll need to track down Phastos. Another recollection is of Hiroshima in 1945, just after the atomic bomb was dropped. Phastos stood in the bombing's aftermath sobbing to a Jack and feeling guilty for advancing human technology as they continued to kill one another. Here is where he chooses to give up on mankind and loses trust in it. Back in the present, when the crew lands in Chicago, they are startled to learn that Phastos resides in a suburban home with her husband and kid. After hearing the tale, Phastos adds that although her husband has recovered his confidence in people, he still refuses to leave his family behind in favor of a perilous mission. However, if it means that they and their son would have a future, his husband advises him to go through with it. After arriving in Iraq, the Eternals utilize their abilities to liberate the Domo from its deep lair. All this time, Makari has only used her speed to leave the area in search of supplies. Phastos suggests using the Unimind to connect everyone's capabilities, allowing everyone to transmit their abilities to Droig so he can mind control Tiamat. Kingo has questions about the entire situation, and he and Sprite claim they'd like to follow Ikaris' example, who obviously shares their doubts. Ikaris, however, explains to his friend that Kingo is mistaken about who he is. Ikaris then goes back to another recollection. Ikaris learns the truth when a Jack visits him 6 days earlier and informs him that the moment for the emergence has finally arrived. A Jack believes they shouldn't carry out the mission since Earth and mankind are both wonderful and deserve more after spending so much time with them. Ikaris brings a Jack to Alaska and says he has something to show her first. A group of deviants had resurfaced in a frozen lake, and Ikaris reveals that they had been frozen for millennia until the glacier started to melt because the incoming emergence heated up the Earth's core. Ikaris then forces a Jack into the water before declaring his continued loyalty to Erishem. Crow then captures a Jack and takes her abilities. Ikaris then takes a Jack to the farmhouse and hides the body there for Cersei to discover later. He can't help but send beams that ignite a fire out of his sadness. Ikaris assures Cersei that he still loves her in the present, and Cersei comfortingly holds his hand without responding. A little while later, she feels the stone inside of her begin to activate, signaling that the emergence is about to begin. Makari is sent by Phastos to uncover the source of the emergence, and thanks to her super speed, she travels the whole surface of the planet in search of an active volcano in the Indian Ocean. Ikaris suddenly dons his armor and declares that he wishes a Jack hadn't gone with Cersei. Ikaris was the one who killed the Jack, the crew discovers as he storms the main chamber and says he has been aware of everything since they left Babylon. Ikaris tries to strike Makari when she returns with the information, but Kingo deflects the blow in her place. Kingo, who no longer views Ikaris as his commander, intends to retaliate by attacking him, but Sprite intervenes by declaring her support for him and concocting an illusion that allows them to flee. Kingo then declares that he and Karun are going since they don't believe preserving Earth is the best course of action because the birth of Celestials also results in the creation of other worlds. Droid notes that Cersei was able to change a deviant into a tree and that the squad needs a new strategy to make up for the missing members. Thena adds that a leader protects their loved ones, and a Jack knew Cersei loved mankind from the beginning. Despite this, Cersei still has questions since she doesn't understand why she was picked by a Jack. Cersei, who is prepared to battle, gives Phastos permission to remove the unique stone from her body and use it to fuel the Unimind. Ikaris instructs Sprite to guard the emergence while he breaks into the ship as the Eternals sail to the volcano. In order to keep him preoccupied while the others activate the Unimind and deactivate the volcano, Thena starts attacking him. Ikaris sprints to intercept them, killing Druig with his eye beams before striking the spacecraft to cause it to crash. Mikari is enraged and starts a violent battle with Ikaris as the volcano behind them explodes to start the emergence. Cersei rushes up the volcano to see if she can do anything, while Thena and Gilgamesh team up with Mikari to battle Ikaris. However, they are unable to defeat him since he is too strong, even with their combined efforts. Crow shows in at that very moment and joins the battle as well, focusing on Ikaris. However, the others fight it first because they don't want it to grow more strong. Thena kicks him, knocking him into a cave, where Mikari captures him in a dirt whirlwind. Ikaris tries to pursue Cersei using the diversion, but Phastos captures him using a unique trap that he created. Crow tricks Thena's mind within the cave by speaking in Gilgamesh's voice, causing her to let her guard down. Thena awakens to destroy it as soon as it unintentionally quotes Gilgamesh's "Remember," just as it is ready to absorb her abilities. Cersei is astonished to see a Jack at the volcano's summit before being violently stabbed. Sprite, who has always been envious of Cersei for getting to live an adult life, had created the illusion of a Jack. As she is about to use her talents to speed up the emergence, Druig appears and knocks her unconscious. As Tiamat emerges from the volcano, the earth begins to tremble and the sea erupts. Ikaris escapes from Phastos' trap and pursues Cersei while Cersei stands on top of him and uses her abilities to try to stop him. However, upon seeing the woman, he is overcome with memories and finds it difficult to murder her. Cersei takes advantage of the opportunity to activate the Unimind, which gives her the power to increase her abilities and reduce Tiamat to the size of a massive rock statue. Ikaris goes to space after repenting in tears and admitting his error, where the sun scorches him to fit the tale associated with his name. Cersei still has some power from the Unimin, so she uses it to remove Sprite's immortality so that she may live a typical human life. Sprite is heartbroken to see him go, but she can still live a regular human life because of this. After their goal is over, once more splitting up the Eternals. While Phastos goes home to his family, Sprite enrolls at a boarding school, and Kingo returns to his movies. Thena joins Makari and Druig on the Domo as they search for more Eternals. Dane welcomes Cersei back and embraces her for who she is. Cersei, Kingo, and Phastos are called by the sudden appearance of Erishem in the sky. He informs them that he would remove them for judgment, since he knows they deceived them.